All right, welcome back to Tip of the Hershberg. We have a real get this week. Ariel, Elias, another Jew from Kentucky.
I know.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting. You know, can I say something I respect about you so much?
Yes.
Is every time you write a joke about being Jewish from Kentucky, almost without fail, you've checked in with me to be like, do you have this joke already?
I do that because we had an overlap.
We've had 2 overlaps.
Yeah, and I always worry. And I actually deleted one from my first special.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I deleted it because I didn't know. I knew we had a similar one. I guess I just felt. I didn't know. But it was a joke about how people ask if you're Jewish, if you experienced anti-Semitism growing up. And I'm like, no one in Kentucky knew what a fucking Jew was. Mm-hmm. And you had the same joke.
Yeah, I was always okay with us having that same line, though, because we go to 2 totally different places with it.
Right. I know. I guess I had an issue years ago where a woman accused me of stealing something, and she made a big deal about it. I didn't steal it. It was like, but I always check in.
Yeah, I've never checked with you, so I really appreciate that you check with me.
Well, now that you're more famous, you really got to check in.
I guess so. I guess I do. It's so hard, you know.
I know. Colin Quinn said, I saw him the other day, not to name drop, but he said, how does it feel to no longer be the most famous Jew from Kentucky?
Well, really neither of us.
I know.
We both know Ashley Judd is just out there.
She's not Jewish.
Oh, no, you said Jewish. That's right.
But I also wasn't
Muhammad Ali.
That's
famously
right. He's
Jewish.
But I also wasn't famous before that.
Yeah.
So it was just us 2 nobodies.
Yeah. I guess before us, there was no famous Jew from Kentucky at all.
Never at all. But you, it was cool to see you on Kimmel, and you did some Jew from Kentucky jokes.
Yeah.
And we've both done Jew from Kentucky jokes on late night. And I wanted to have you in here to talk about kind of like being a Jew from Kentucky, but not in the way you probably had to ask those questions, because we're both that situation.
Yeah, so you have like an innate understanding of it already.
Yes, and I want to know really like not the experience of being a Jew from Kentucky, but the experience of people annoyingly misunderstanding what that is, you know. Which I don't, but let me just be clear though. We are from 2 different cities.
Yeah.
Rivalries.
Huge rivalries.
Huge, I mean, way more than
And boy, does that bleed into our friendship.
Yes. Our vague indifference to sports can really. Yes, I mean, and the rivalry with that is bigger than any fucking professional. I mean, I think, you know, like, to me, professional sports doesn't compare to college sports.
Not at all. Well, because if you're from a place that is into college sports, it's because there are no professional sports.
Yes.
And when there are no professional sports, it also means that the stakes for everything else
Yes.
are so, like, everything small becomes very important.
Right. And your town probably sucks. So you're like,
well, your town probably sucks, but mine.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that, Lexington. But anyway, the rivalry is really brewing. But yeah, so there's this fucking you're right. You're compensating, but also college affiliation. I mean, there's no real no one's really affiliated with the fucking Yankees. You know what I mean?
Right.
But people are like, fucking, I went to college there. You know what I mean? But so I've seen my dad seriously on suicide watch after U of L gets kicked out of the NCAA tournament, and now of course Louisville has no sports identity because they got pretty much. Rick Pitino got fired and all this shit. But anyway, so you were Lexington, I'm Louisville. And for me, always, when I tell someone I'm a Jew from Kentucky outside of Kentucky, they're always like, they say the same thing. I didn't know there were Jews in Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I always tell them, and this is what makes it interesting. I go, no, Louisville's different. All your stereotypes are true about everywhere else in Kentucky. You should be asking Ariel this.
I think that's right. Louisville is like a real city.
Yes.
It has sort of a Midwestern vibe that the rest of Kentucky I don't think has.
Yes. Thank you.
It's
your place is the stereotypical shithole that they're thinking of, right?
It's closer to that.
It's close. You're in the middle between the shithole. You're like in the middle between the shithole and a big city.
Well, and certainly growing up what Lexington was, because now I think they've found sort of a little bit of a stride in sort of a cool artsy scene.
Right.
But when I was growing up, it was just a college
what was
town.
That? One kid started doing ceramics or what?
My dad's theory is that, so what happened?
Guys started whittling different
this is
statues outside.
Truly the most Kentucky story ever, which is that Lexington in 2008, I think, won the bid to host the World Equestrian Games.
Oh, really?
Which is like the Olympics of horse sports.
Sure.
And because of that, they suddenly put all of this money into downtown.
Oh, wow.
And sort of like revitalized it.
Louisville,
and tried to make
Louisville
it a cool
also
place.
has, I don't want to compare, but Louisville has a pretty popular horse racing.
Which
event,
one?
too. I don't know. I can't remember it now. But
Anybody can host the Derby.
So, yeah. So Lexington is like a little different, but still a city. And you probably still have to deal with the same shit, which is that people don't understand that there are Jews everywhere.
Right.
We're a scattered group. We got, I was going to say, kicked out of Europe. That's
kicked out of a lot of places.
Yeah, kicked out is probably not a severe term I should be using for you. We didn't just get kicked out.
We got genocided.
We got genocided out. But we were not picky.
Nobody was like politely asking us to leave.
Yeah, they
like,
weren't.
would you mind scooting over into
Hitler
the
wasn't
Americas?
like, I know Hitler was like, this is a little awkward, but we kind of need a little more space. And if you could just, But so I do a bit about this too, not to refer, but like people had like when my grandpa was fleeing from the Holocaust, he wasn't very picky. Like you can't, it's not like Auschwitz or Louisville. You have to make a choice and you have to go wherever you got fucking sponsored.
Is that how your family ended up in Kentucky?
The Auschwitz thing?
Yeah.
No, it's actually my. I didn't end up in Kentucky that way. My grandpa fled. My great grandfather was accused of child murder, the blood libel, the anti-Semitic superstition that you took the blood of a Christian kid
baby
and used it in matzah,
right?
Which is crazy because it's not kosher.
Also, like if that were the case, matzah would probably taste pretty good.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't taste good. Yeah.
It's stale. It's tasteless.
Yeah,
but if you've got some iron reinforcement in there.
It should have Christian blood in it. That's not even like, that's actually a good recipe suggestion.
Yeah.
You know how they
it's
say
not
that,
bad.
like what they suggest what to put in the soup? Mm-hmm. Like try throwing Christian blood. It says it on the matzah. But he got accused of a murder. And
in what country?
He was in Poland in this small fucking shtetl that's called like dumb shit. I mean, it's like dumb shits, but it just, when you see the spelling, it just looks like dumb shit Poland. And he was my great grandfather. And there was a gypsy kid found dead in the cemetery, and the parents pointed to him and accused him. And there was a whole trial. This other girl in town said she saw him do it. She was lying, of course. He didn't actually do it. Fonzie's like at the edge of his seat waiting. It's like, did he do it or not? Well, this is exciting. But she pointed they lined him up with six or seven other Hasidic Jews. But they're Hasidic Jews.
And it's impossible to tell them apart.
That's why they dress the same. So she pointed to the wrong one. He may have done it, honestly. I mean, he could have pointed to the wrong one. He got out. But so they left 10 years, 15 years before the war. But my dad ended up moving to Kentucky because of, he was a reporter. And they had a good newspaper there.
Got it.
How did you all?
That's similar. I mean, my parents are from New Jersey, and then lived in New York City, and then San Francisco, and then my dad's an English professor.
Oh, really?
And got a job at Eastern Kentucky University.
Oh, wow.
Which is in Richmond. But my mom refused to live in Richmond. She was just like, we're living in a place that at least has like 4 traffic lights.
Okay.
And I think at the time Richmond had 3.
Okay.
And so
and 5 Jews.
I don't even know. But so the compromise was Lexington. We just lived on the south
And then
side.
he was a professor in Lexington?
No, at EKU.
Oh, how far away is that?
It's like 45-minute drive.
Okay. Wow. So
But my dad's like, I'm the same way as my dad as far as like, we love to drive. Mm-hmm. We love like a long drive and we love weed. So like,
okay.
I think my dad was just like happy for a scenic route for a little bit.
He was like, joke's on you. This is more time I can spend apart from
Exactly. I think he just likes his alone time.
Yeah. Okay. So he, and both your parents are Jewish?
Yeah.
But your dad is Spanish or some shit?
Yeah, my dad's family is Sephardic.
Oh, yeah. Nice. For those at home who don't know, Sephardic are the type of Jews from more of the Morocco, Spain,
Iran,
sort of dark-skinned Jews.
Generally, yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
So my dad's family is from there. And then it's enough, we have it enough documented that when Spain passed their law, I guess in like 2007 or whatever, that if you could trace your lineage back to, if you were Jewish and you could prove that your ancestors were kicked out of Spain during the Inquisition, you would qualify for Spanish citizenship.
Really?
So I have Spanish citizenship.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I feel like there was a lot of torturing, but I feel like if you're going to say kicked out, it's most accurate for Spain.
Maybe.
I mean, they tortured and stuff, but were like, they were like, you can get out or convert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's interesting.
I'm not saying they're good to the Jews.
No, that's very true. There's this theory. I just read this book called The Netanyahus, and it's fiction, but it's based on like Netanyahu's dad.
Okay.
Basically, like wrote this. He had a theory that the Spanish Inquisition was not just like you can convert or get out. It was for those who had converted. It was also kicking them out because they weren't. It was the first time that the idea of Jewish being a race was proposed.
Oh, really? Because a lot of the common notion in history that was more proposed in the 1800s in Germany. But so his idea was that it was the race idea, which is essentially anti-Semitism,
right? So
as opposed to anti-Judaism.
Right. It's still like your bloodline isn't pure or whatever.
There's nothing he can do.
It's also just a theory. I think it's like a pretty controversial theory that a lot of people don't agree with. But yeah, the idea that even if whether you were Jewish or you were a converso, which were like the Jews who converted, you still had to get the fuck out.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean that is an interesting. The kind of awkward dichotomy. This is why Whoopi Goldberg got in trouble, I guess, on some level. That this idea that Judaism is not a race. If people think you're a race and treat you like a race, you're a race.
Yeah.
That's how races work.
Right.
And in Auschwitz, it wasn't. You couldn't just go to the crematorium and be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm actually. I
don't really believe in this stuff. I'm gonna head out."
It was in your genes. It was a genetic thing, and it didn't matter. Though, in the traditional concept of the Spanish Inquisition, is that you could. But I guess this is almost saying like anti-Semitism was always like you kind of hated. Yeah. You know what I think it was? I talked about this because I performed in Spain. I think, and I read a little about it. It seems like they made people convert. And then they were like, you still feel a little Jewish.
Yeah. It was in waves too. Yeah. Like the Inquisition wasn't just like that one year.
Yeah. That's maybe where they found out. That's how this is my added theory to this. This is how anti-Semitism really.
You and Netanyahu.
Yeah. This is how it really developed. They thought it was just purely a religion. They converted a bunch of people, and then those converted people still felt Jewy. They were just like, yes, now we go and we go and we celebrate Christmas and Jesus and all that Mishigas with the Trinity. And then the Spanish, they were like, yeah, it doesn't feel right. It must be more than just a religion. And that's where anti-Semitism was born, this genetic, because it's like, it was weird them talking about saying the Trinity is like, I don't understand it, but it's a thing. You're the Father, you're the Son, you're the Ghost. It's a whole thing. I don't know. But like, so maybe that's, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, so Bibi Netanyahu's family is correct on everything. And
never been wrong.
Never been wrong. And so that's interesting. So you're from that, Conversos, and then you're in New Jersey, and then you moved, and now you have Spanish citizenship.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to use that?
I don't know. It depends on how things go in this country.
So you can go to Israel or Spain?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Spain.
Yeah.
If those are my choices.
Really?
Yes, for sure. If you go to Spain, if you have a EU passport, you can also go to anywhere else in the EU.
It is funny that...
Also, I don't speak Hebrew. I do speak Spanish.
You do speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay. It is funny, too, that like... You now have the right to go back to a place that's really famous for kicking you out.
Yeah, but like what country hasn't?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we should just get universal citizenship.
We should.
We should be able to come back to every fucking place.
What was it like performing?
I'm sure the Arabs would love to hear that.
Yeah,
Jews should be able to go back anywhere.
Specifically Palestine.
Yeah.
What was it like performing in Spain?
It was good. You know, I was in Barcelona. It's beautiful. And I can't remember. I did a lot of places, and there were definitely there are always good audiences, but sometimes you got the sense, and you got the sense in Spain that they were kind of translating what you said real quickly into English. So there was a little bit of a,
little delay.
You know what I mean? Certain countries, they just are like pretty much, like you go to Norway and there's just like, English is pretty much like so close to them. Yeah. Spain is a little different. You know what I mean? They're a little like, there's not as many English speakers, but they were fun. It was good. Spain's beautiful. You should go. Have you been?
Yeah.
Obviously you've been. You should go to have you gone to the church of whatever the fuck? Mi Familia?
What's that one?
It's that church in Barcelona where they like remodeled it. It's like it was like modeled in, I forget what it's called. It's a very famous church, but it's really beautiful. But anyway, so growing up Jewish in Kentucky, what's the Jewish population there? What's it like?
I don't know. I think our synagogue had like 300 families. And then there were, which also, it's not just Lexington, obviously. Like it's, you know, I feel like there are only synagogues in Louisville and Lexington and maybe Bowling Green.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny. My anti-Semitic instincts came out. You said 300 families. And my first, I was like, it's a lot of Jews. We should do something about this. It's like a Jewish problem.
And that's just one synagogue. There was another, there was a Reform temple too.
There's a Reform temple. And were you raised conservative?
Yeah, were you?
Just like me.
Yeah, look at that.
That's very rare.
But Louisville has like 2 conservative synagogues, right?
They got like 2 conservative. They have 2 Reformed, 2 conservative. They have this
and an Orthodox.
They have an Orthodox that split off into 4 different. It's hilarious. This is why, I mean, people have said this, but like the whole idea that Kanye is like the Jews control everything. Like the Jews fight so much with each other. There was an Orthodox synagogue that had like maybe like 30 congregants, and they split off into 2 different synagogues.
Still 2 minions.
Yeah, still 2. But then they split off. Then they split off again. I think there's like now 1 person for each synagogue. It's like
so funny.
You just fight so much, especially when things are dying.
Yeah.
The fighting happens the most when the Titanic is sinking. So like, so like, the less congregants, there's some more fighting.
Well, it's also that like classic Jewish street joke of like, there's this, like, no matter how many Jews there are in one place, you always have to have an extra synagogue because there's the synagogue you go to and the synagogue you would never go to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I thought you were going to say there's always too many. I thought I was just going to end like really anti-Semitically. So I grew up, like, I had a Jewish day school, which is crazy. Okay. Like, people are like, oh, how can there be Jews in Kentucky? It's like, I was at a Jewish elementary school.
Through what grade?
Till 5th grade. I mean, there was like 2 people in my class, but I still was at a fucking, I mean, I was being homeschooled, but no, I mean, there was like 10 kids in my class. You know what happened? A lot of Russian Jews fled. And that really helped the Jewish day school because we just like took in a lot of Russian. It was mostly Russian Jews.
We had 1.
You had 1?
Yeah.
But you, like, growing up, did you have Jewish friends?
Yeah, but I had a couple of Jewish friends. Not a ton. Certainly, like, there was one other Jewish person at my high school, and we would like carpool, but we didn't really like each other that much.
Okay.
We just ran in different circles. My Jewish friends were more, I had 2 very close, like, Jewish friends who we would go. One of them is his family was much more religious, and he kept Shabbat. Okay. So we would go to services Saturday morning, and then we would all walk to his house and then spend the day at his house, like the 3 of us, and just like play ping pong and like take naps and like make out a little and then play cards. Just because like
you can make out on Shabbos.
You got to try it.
You can make out on Shabbos.
You certainly can.
On Shabbos, you're supposed to.
I think so. It's a double mitzvah.
By the way, I don't get all, but I really look back fondly on those. The thing I like about Judaism is like there was, just a walking to synagogue or walking back home. Just that experience of not driving. We were.
Did you guys keep Shabbat?
Yeah. We didn't keep it like. I think we would walk to synagogue. We walked to synagogue on the high holidays.
Okay. How far of a walk was it for you?
It was like 30 minutes.
That's significant.
Yeah, and we wouldn't use money. I think we'd use electricity, but I'd never been to the Kentucky Derby because we had to it was always on Saturday. But so. I
do remember one year missing, I was invited to another school's prom, or maybe it was like their like home. It was whatever happens in the spring. Yeah, prom. And I couldn't go because it was the first night of Passover.
Those are tough moments. I had that with New Year's Eve. It was the Y2K. And I was old enough to like go out and hang out, but it was Friday night. They didn't want me out.
Yeah.
And I was so upset. It was like a fight all week. And I had friends who were like, oh, we're all going to go party on New Year's Eve, right? And my parents refused for me to go out because it was Sabbath. And I got so mad. And then eventually they just let me have my friends over there, and we just drank so much and like did a lot of fucked up shit like at the house. But like, cause that's the thing you realize. You're like always like your parents are like, you got to stay here, and you're like, no, I want to go out. But you can just do horrible things in their basement.
Really, anywhere.
Yeah,
the basement, man. What a great place to just like make some mistakes.
I made a lot of mistakes in my basement. Well, I also had a twin sister, so I had girls sleeping at my house. When I was like, it was like a real.
And they were your age.
They were my age. It was a real loophole. You know what I mean? Like it was a real loophole. It was like it's fucking 11 or 12 having girls like fucking spend the night in the basement. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of, exploring. You know what I mean?
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm happy that happened.
Consensual.
Yeah. Important.
But so So you didn't have Jewish. What about Jewish friends in elementary school? I mean, in your like synagogue and shit like that.
Yeah, those were. I mean, the person who like whose house we would go to.
Yeah,
like that was at my synagogue. And like he's one of the few people who I still keep in touch with. Too.
Really?
Yeah. So that was like a strong bond. And then I would go to did you ever go to the like Jew conventions?
Jew conventions.
So were you in youth group at all?
Yeah, there was Y.
Were you in USY?
Yes, okay. USY.
Me too. That's the one that I was in.
We're really jamming it up today.
So,
I blocked that shit out.
So every like 3 months or so, there would be a weekend convention. It would start. I feel like it would start on a Thursday and go until a Sunday. And it was regional. So in our region, it was Louisville, Toledo, Ohio, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and then like maybe Detroit or Grand Rapids and Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And it would be like 500 Jewish kids just like for the weekend. You would stay with a family that lived in that town.
Yes, I remember this. It was a couple kids. I remember a couple kids staying at a family.
Yeah, and then Saturday night you would have like a lock-in at the synagogue.
Yes,
and
this is like a huge flashback for me.
Yes, and you would have like dances and that. And there was a point system too for like hooking up with one another because they also, again, like really encourage Jews to like hook up with each other.
It is this underlying thing.
Absolutely.
So we should talk about with camp and all this, and even fucking, Israel, where they go, birthright. They're wanting us to fuck each other.
Yeah, because they want us to like marry each other and make Jewish babies.
So they're literally like, how do we get these two 12-year-olds to get it on? Like they think about it. They're like in a boardroom meeting and they're like, I mean, it's better than Catholics where the priests fuck the kids.
Right. But no, the kids fuck the kids.
The kids fuck the
Judaism.
kids. But they're orchestrating it.
Yes.
They're like, how do we get them together to fuck? And boy, did they fail with me because I didn't hook up with anyone. I went to Jewish. Did you go to Jewish summer camp?
No.
I went to Jewish summer camp, Camp Ramah in Wisconsin.
I'm so jealous. I always wanted to go to Camp
Ramah. No, it was awful
so badly.
because it was a conservative camp, but it was like pretty religious. So for me, it was way more religious. Like we were praying 3 times a day. It was like fucking Muslim camp or some shit, but there was Orthodox kids who went. That was a fucking vacation for them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we only get to pray 3 times a day, and we can talk to girls. This is awesome. And I hated it, but everyone like fucking hooked up. I didn't hook up with anyone. It was amazing.
How come?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the elders were trying to manipulate it. I was fat and ugly and insecure and
but it's like Jewish camp.
They're gonna be like, yeah, but you still are.
No,
I know I don't know. It's tough. I mean, there was a lot of sexual shit. We did have me and my friend used to have competition. We'd each individually go into different stalls and jack off and see who could come the quickest.
Really?
And I would win a lot. And we had no idea at the time. I was just training for premature ejaculation. Like we thought that was a good thing. We thought, oh yeah, he's pretty cool. He can come in 2 seconds. He's a real sharpshooter. He's gonna be great with the ladies. He'll just be in and out. I fucking trained. I was like fucking Olympic. So we did that a lot.
How old were you?
Let's see. This was maybe 13, 14, 15. Okay. Yeah.
And how many of you would go into a stall and do this?
It would be like 3 kids in different stalls.
Would you guys just like try not to look at each other, or would you make intense eye contact?
No. We weren't fucking gay. It was the bathroom. No, it was the what do you call it? The toilet stalls.
Oh, okay. You're not just like all hovered around one urinal.
No, I was like, we're not fucking gay. And then I'm like, what do you think? But then I'm like, I also remember one time I literally just watched my friend jack off into a trash can.
Sure.
I saw cum come out of his dick.
Yeah. Congrats.
It's crazy. So I did a lot of gay shit.
Yeah. So this is why I'm like sad I didn't get to go to camp. It sounded really neat.
I remember one kid got kicked out. It was the first time I saw someone get Me Too'd.
Really?
He got kicked. He was like a rich kid.
Were you opening for him?
Well, yeah. Low blow, but he like it was finger rape, which I guess.
Oh no.
Yeah, like forced fingering, I guess, or coercive, and he got kicked out of camp halfway through. I fucking hated camp. It was 2 months long. It was awful.
2 months is a lot.
My parents probably loved it. They didn't have kids for 2 months, but it was fucking.
Did your sister go too?
Yeah, and she loved it. I hated it. I was like just homesick, and it was just, and I didn't have. I'll tell one quick story. We'll get back to you. This is the worst thing I've ever done in my life, or one of them, and I'll.
Okay.
You might judge me.
Go on.
But let me just say before I tell it,
Okay.
That I'm aware that it was a bad thing.
Okay.
Okay. So I was 14. What was just like a rape and murder story? And I just, I was
You're like, there is a statute of limitations on murder, right?
Yeah, there's no one on murder, but
there isn't on murder.
It's a little crazy that there's one on rape.
Yeah.
It's almost like the government saying, like, if you can get away with it for that long,
true.
Good for you.
Yep.
It's a little fucked up, right?
Yeah. Super fucked up.
Why do they do that? Do they do it on assault, like physical assault? You know everything. You're like one of the smartest people I know, so I just go to you for shit.
I don't know. I assume there is one on physical assault. I just think, like, I don't know. Our laws don't really care about victims that much unless they're dead.
It does seem like they're just like literally like, well, yeah, at this point, well, you know, yeah.
Quit whining.
Yeah. It is a little crazy. But anyway, such is the world. But,
okay, what's the worst thing you've ever done?
So I was at camp and there was this kid named Hootie, right? He was mentally handicapped, but not like, he was like kind of forced scump.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he was funny. He was a good kid. I remember one time he said he could jerk off too. And he went in the stall. He's like, I'm jerking off. And I just heard him throwing shit around. And I came in, he's just throwing shit around. I'm like, what do you do? You think this is jerking off? He's like, yeah, I'm jerking stuff around. Like, he thought it was like jerking off.
I love that kid.
He was great.
That's great. And then you took his dick and you showed him.
No. So one day it was me and there's nothing more nightmarish than a guy telling a story from being a young boy. It's like, this could go anywhere.
Sure.
One time me and this kid, so we were doing a trip at camp on this lake. We were like camping out one night and I got stuck in the loser tent. It was like Hootie was like the mentally handicapped kid, the gay kid, and then me, and I was the fat kid. So what was upsetting is I was a crucial part of this group.
You played a role. You weren't just like stuck there.
I wasn't just stuck there. I was part of it. You know what I mean? So we all go in the tent and I forget to zip it up and it rains at the night and I wake up soaking wet. And I just start punching Hootie. Like, not like terribly on the head, but like on the shoulder. I just start punching him because I was angry. And he wakes up and goes, what are you doing? I go, never mind, I'll tell it to you tomorrow. And then the next day he forgot. So I just literally punched a mentally handicapped kid when I was angry.
Yeah. I bet you've done something worse than that. But
that's up there.
Yeah, that's sad.
I know. I just like used him as like a
literal punching bag.
A literal punching bag. Yeah. Well, Hootie, if you're around,
at least you didn't tell everybody that he was the one who left it unzipped.
Oh, I did do that.
Did you?
No, I didn't do that. I was just mad.
Like, Hootie.
I was just mad. I knew there was a chance he'd forget. It was one of my worst crimes. I also did, when I was 5, step on a frog at camp.
Oh, on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. I stepped on a frog and this guy, like an older kid, got mad at me. And I think that stopped me from being a serial killer.
That's good.
Yeah. Because I remember I was a little boys are awful.
I think it's pretty natural to like sort of wonder what, like when, especially before all of your empathy develops.
Yes.
Like, what happens if I do this? And you just don't think it through.
You don't think it through. And it was just squishy. It was a bullfrog. It was just squishy. And I remember thinking it's awful. It's kind of like, you know, like the guys were like, yeah, she was asking for it. I was kind of like, he was asking to be squished. I was like, it was like that awful, like something about him. He's just begging to be squished. But I remember the minute I stepped on it, I felt like I'd done something wrong because it was messy. And that's what I think I learned about morality. The bigger the mess, the worse a crime it is.
Interesting.
Maybe that's not morality as much as getting caught.
So that's why like Dexter's fine.
Well, it's just more like if you step on an ant, it's not that messy.
Right.
If you step on a bullfrog, that's like guts everywhere. It just felt wrong. You know what I mean? But then the guy next to me yelled at me and I felt really bad. And I never touched an animal again.
That's good.
Physically. I mean, sexually, but there's a statute of limitations on that.
Yeah, there sure is.
So that's what you missed at Jewish summer camp.
Okay.
You missed. You missed subverting your sociopathic instincts.
Yeah.
And then kind of coming to terms with them later.
That's interesting. I don't know. It just always, I think because at those conventions, there would always be kids who had gone to camp together and they seemed to just have all of these inside jokes and these like this bond. And to me, it felt like, well, this is the one place I go where I don't feel like an outsider.
Yes.
And yet I still feel like an outsider.
Interesting. Yes.
Because I'm still not a part of like the cool clique. Like if I can't be like hot and cool at the Jewish conventions, like there's nowhere I can be hot and cool.
Yeah. So
I went to band camp and that actually worked out.
That worked out? You just lowered the bar. And
then I just changed the bar.
What if you weren't What if you weren't even cool at band camp? What would have been next?
No, I was cool at band camp.
You don't even accept that reality.
I was
So, what'd you play? Can I guess?
Saxophone.
All right.
So
I'm going
no.
to guess that.
Yeah, go ahead, guess.
You know why I was going to guess that?
Why?
Because you, out of anyone I know, and I mean this in a very lovingly way, have the most Lisa Simpson vibe.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll take that.
You have a Lisa
I love
Simpson
that.
vibe, you know?
Yeah.
You're a know-it-all, but you also know it all.
Yeah, I can back it up.
You can back it up. Yeah. You're like right and smart, and everyone's like, all right, we get it. The whole town's like, you're right, but all right.
Yeah. You're right, but this is annoying.
Yeah.
Let us just go to Moe's.
Yeah,
please.
you're the Jewish Lisa Simpson.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, you probably learned the saxophone at an early age and talked about how black music was appropriated by white people.
Yeah.
Do
you think you killed that bullfrog because it looked like you and you were just trying to step on yourself?
I think so. I think it was self-hatred.
Yeah.
Actually, this might have been before I was fat.
Oh, okay.
It was when I was 8. It ended up saying the last time I was fuckable was 8 years old. Like, that was the last time I had a hot body. I was 8. I mean, you know, fuckable, not fuckable, but hot, you know?
Sure.
It's the last time my body was in good form.
Keep going, bud. Keep digging.
The only time I'd ever be on someone's like top list were pedophiles at 8. Because I was really cute.
Were you guys, when you guys
And
were
then
all
I'm like, what?
when you guys were all in the stall jerking off, was it just like a Polaroid picture of you at 8 on the back? And that's what everybody was trying to hit.
Exactly.
That's why you could come so fast. You're
Exactly,
like, I was
just
so
picture myself.
fucking hot.
Well, I feel that. You ever feel that with, like, you talk about body dysmorphia a lot. You have
Sure do.
You have a great joke about it, about being a woman, even though I feel like a fat guy is a lot like every woman. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like every woman, not the same, like, you know, what do you call it? Oppression, yeah. Not that. But every woman feels like that fat insecurity, even if they're not fat. And I'm the fat guy, I feel it all the time. Kind of like every woman feels it, no matter what. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't know if I understand the premise.
Like, I always think I'm fat. I am fat, but I always feel fat.
So this is just a story where you're like, I'm always right.
Well, I'm just saying women always feel fat, and I always feel fat.
Okay, not always.
I'm
think,
always like a woman on her period.
okay, sure.
You agree with that?
Sure. Yeah. I would agree with that, knowing you as I do.
But anyway, I guess the point I was trying to make is with body dysmorphia, we talk about seeing a picture of you being hot. Whenever I see a picture of myself, the minute it's taken, I hate it. I think I'm disgusting. And then 2 years later, I'll look at it and be like, I was so fucking
look so
hot.
good, yeah.
What is up with that?
I don't
Explain
know.
that to
We're
me.
so broken.
What is the visual? Is it just that we keep on looking worse?
I think that's part of it.
Is it all? Because I was thinking about that. Maybe that's it. Because it's all relative.
Yeah. You know what's nice? So I have gone back and looked at pictures of me in college, and I'm like, oh no, I was right to hate the way I looked.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's true. That it does go the other way. I see footage of me when I was like at my fattest, and I was like disgusting.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like I didn't do any skincare. I didn't know how to do makeup. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to dress.
That's true. You can look really bad too.
So I was right to be like, I hate the way I look. Because I still, when I look back on it, I hate the way I look.
You aren't. If you feel like repugnance for your older self, I think that is bad. And I feel it all the time. I realized that recently. I had a picture of me like 9. I was really chubby, and I posted it up for like a comedy show. And a friend of mine texted me like, you look so cute in that picture. And I never thought of myself as cute in that picture because I was chubby. I always thought of myself as gross because I couldn't allow myself to think of a chubby kid as cute. And it was like this self-hatred for my child, my fat child. I didn't love my inner self. And it was like, even the idea of someone thinking that was cute was like, baffling to me. I'm like, no, fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're a cute, chubby 9-year-old. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to feel good about yourself.
I know. It's tough, except for when you look at a picture 2 years later.
Yeah. 2 years. You're right. 2 years is the right amount of time.
Yes.
10 years.
10 years is bad.
You look at it with a little bit more of a critical eye. But
2
2
years
years,
is
you're
just
like, man, I look so good then.
I know.
I would give anything to look like that again.
And then like at the time you were like, if only I could have appreciated it. maybe I wouldn't have felt the shame that somehow led me to gain even more weight perversely.
Or even if it's not about it, it's like it doesn't even, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird that we never take that lesson into the present. You go, okay, well, so now, this time,
I know,
when you
right?
see a picture of yourself, think about 2 years from now, you looking at this picture and like look at it with those eyes.
I know, but I guess I'd have to imagine you looking even worse, which is like in your head, you're like, it's impossible for me.
Worse?
Yeah, how can you get worse? Yeah.
I know.
It is tough. I mean, I don't know. I guess everyone feels this. The problem is also photographs. If you like, people send me a picture of me they just took, I think that should be a hate crime.
Oh, there's a whole Facebook group of female comedians, and we have an entire thread of posting the worst pictures that photographers have ever taken of us on stage. And I talked to a photographer once of like, why do you guys do this? Why do you take these angles from like where you're on the ground and we look 9 feet with 17 chins?
Where the shadow just creates 4 chins.
God. And he was like, well, we're trying to like recreate the illusion of being in the audience.
They're like,
and I was like, that's worse. That's what the audience is seeing?
Yeah, that's
this
hilarious.
is what's happening?
Well, we're trying to really capture exactly how you look. That's we're just trying to be pure realism. I know. I mean, it is a horrible thing. People send me pictures they just took, and I'm like, if you knew what you were doing, I'd rather an ex tell me she had AIDS while we were fucking than someone to just send a random picture of me.
Wow.
It's the worst. Well, maybe not AIDS, but syphilis. It's the worst. It's the fucking worst because what you always have to say to yourself is like, that's just capturing one angle.
Right.
That doesn't define you.
Fluorescent lighting.
Yes.
Means nothing. And
we're always changing in angles. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, and here's the other big mystery, the question. I was talking to Joe List last night. I think he does a bit about this, or he said he did. But it is an interesting question. Why do we look good in the mirror?
I don't think I look
good. You don't think you look good in the mirror?
No.
I feel like whenever I look in the mirror, maybe I just quickly position myself in a way, but I tend to look, I'm like, I don't look that bad. And then someone will take a picture of me and I'm like, I want to kill myself.
I'm almost always, I mean, it's something I'm working on, but it is almost always I go, well, this is what you look like.
Oh, really? So it's so your self-hatred is so deep, you don't even get the mirror perk.
No, I really don't. It's rough. I'll get
every mirror? What about like a gym mirror? Gym mirrors are great.
I don't go to the gym. I just work out at home.
You need a gym mirror. A gym mirror? I don't know. I think they've designed it to make you look skinny, so you just keep on coming back.
Right.
That tall gym mirror, that's great. What about,
I mean, my solution is I only have a bathroom mirror in my apartment. I don't have any other.
It's like
mirrors.
You're sitting Shiva at all times.
Yeah, it's also why I have this beard. But I don't have a full-length mirror. I don't have... The only way for me to look at my body is I have to take my squatty potty and move it over in front of the mirror and then stand on it to look at my body because I just can't handle it.
Wow, you're really like, you're going beyond me. I haven't seen beyond me in a long time. This is beyond me. This is like, yeah, I mean like, wow, so the mirrors thing, wow.
But it's like, well, I can't be critical of myself if I'm not giving myself the opportunity to do that.
Have you thought of going like just cutting out your eyes so you never see yourself again?
Well, there is an eclipse, I think, coming up next year. So I'm just going to stare directly into it and see what happens.
Do you think blind people are free from this? Or do you think they can just feel they're fat and then visualize it? I guess they can, right?
I don't even think... I think you're putting a lot of emphasis on like fat because maybe that's what it is for you.
Yes.
But I think like insecurities come... Like people feel insecure about anything and everything.
Well, I have great skin and great hair, so it's just it's kind of focused on that. Yeah.
But I think there are some people who will like just stare at their nose forever and just be like, I hate this about, like
talking about Jewish and Italian women.
Yeah, mostly. Yes.
I find my nose is getting more marbled at the bottom. It's like becoming Jewier. Like I'm becoming fucking, Fagin from the fucking Alec Guinness.
A little propaganda pamphlet.
Yeah, I'm like, I wasn't that. And it's like, because it's just becoming that, I'm worried about that.
No.
But
it looks the same.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Well, that's the other thing. No one else cares the way we care. And it's like, if I gain like 10 pounds, I want to kill myself. But like, people don't notice. But then you're terrified of people noticing. Because when does the, what do you call it? When does the sand collected? At some point it becomes a mound. and you're terrified of that for me, it's weight, but the moment weight tips over to other people noticing, and that's a terrifying thing. And it's always scary going back home because they haven't seen you in a while. You can become like you can slowly become Shrek in front of your friends. They don't notice. But once you go home, they see the damage of the time, and you're so terrified. I don't know about you, I got fat shamed quite a lot as a kid.
I have a very like complicated relationship with weight stuff, and like I will put this huge caveat, which is that my mom did her absolute best. But I see she has a lot of weight struggles and insecure struggles.
Do you go to therapy?
I have gone to therapy. I don't right now.
You can tell by someone who says my mom did her
absolute best. She really did. She really tried.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
But she did put a lot of her insecurities on me, and it is really hard for her to not comment on my weight or my appearance. And I've done a lot of work to like, I know that I can't control. Yes, I have been to therapy. I know that I can't control what she says or does, but I can, no pun intended, take the weight off of it.
Yes.
But I remember one time, this is pretty recently, my mom, I'll do like, we have to like constantly feed the algorithm or whatever and post videos all the time. So I do a lot of like some front facing videos when I'm just like, I can't like possibly caption a clip and stare at myself.
Yeah.
So I was doing like these little front facing videos when I woke up, and my mom was like, so I'm just curious, are you intentionally not wearing makeup in these videos? Is it, I mean, and I was like, no, it's just that like that takes a lot of time and I just have to churn these out really quickly. And she's like, oh, okay. Cause I was looking at them and I was just thinking like, you don't look very good.
It's funny, like, you want to ask these, like, Jewish mother and anybody, like, what good, if they could only ask themselves, what good is this question going to bring? You know what I mean? Like, what positive feelings will this question that you're framing as a question? Mothers, I say Jewish mothers, all mothers, they love to just roast battle you so hard in the form of a question.
And I do think, like, some of it has made me much better, because a lot of things I do, I'm like, will this stand up to the scrutiny of my mom? Will this like she has very high standards. She's a very critical person. And as much as that's damaged me, it's also made me have higher standards for myself. And I'm not happy. Like, I want to be better.
Right.
So it's very complicated. It's very difficult. She did her. I mean,
you need more therapy.
I know. I for sure do.
You're like, my mom was correct. I do need to look better. She did her best.
I don't mean about that.
I'm totally fine. I am going to take out the bathroom mirror soon. We need no mirrors in the house. I call the bathroom mirror mom. I'm totally fine. Well, I mean, it's a tough balance with parents because you don't want to like. I don't know. It's like you don't want to blame them.
No, of course not.
But you also want to like be aware of the damage they've done.
Yeah.
Without blaming them.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mom, for instance, talks to me like I'm a child. And as a result, I don't feel like an adult. You know what I mean? She'll just like say things where it's just like, she'll give me advice on things that have nothing to do with her. You know, when are you going to do your taxes? Who are you going to go to? Like little shit where it's just like about my own thing. And I talked to my therapist. I was like, I know she's right about this shit. My therapist is like trying to get me to punch her in the face. He like doesn't give it. He's like, it doesn't matter if she's right. She's telling you what to fucking do, whether she's right or not. The fact that she's telling you what to do in your own life so much is making you feel like a child. You know what I mean? So even if it's well intentioned, it doesn't matter. Just because something's you shouldn't blame parents. You shouldn't blame anyone for anything. We're all fucking.
We're all doing our best.
We're all
trying hard.
Ted Bundy did his best.
He really did.
There was a couple women he didn't kill, and Hitler did his best. All right. Anyway, but
with the tools he was given,
he
built concentration camps.
Yeah. But there's a difference between realizing they didn't do their best, but also realizing that what they did caused. I don't know if trauma is too elaborate a word, but certain things that you can't really progress from, or certain things that like make you feel like I think it's probably for everyone a sense of being a child. Not feeling like an adult. At least for me, that's what it is. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, I got fat shamed a lot growing up. I remember my mom found like my dad bought me a bunch of pistachios once. And my mom got mad at him in the other room. I just remember her going, And he's fat. He's fat. You can't be giving him pistachios. So that shit fucking has and now my mom's kind of like.
And meanwhile, is she just like plowing you with like fat-free yogurt that has like 70 grams of sugar?
Exactly. Have the, because that was the era, right? Have all this fat-free cookies. Right. Back when sugar was not the culprit, right? And then everything was margarine, so now we all have cancer or whatever. But like, but yeah, so like it does affect you, and then even now, I don't know if you have this problem. Like even when my mom doesn't say that, I think she's going to. I don't know if you feel that way, where you feel defensive even when they don't say something.
I definitely always feel defensive around my mom, but I don't know if I'm waiting for her to say something. I don't think I'm like on edge that way.
You're not on edge?
No, I don't think so.
I'm on edge, especially with the fat thing, because I'm going home.
Yeah.
And it's been a bit.
Yeah.
And I've gained weight.
Yeah.
How does the scale number affect you?
A lot.
It's bad,
It affects me a lot, yeah.
I went to the gastro the other day.
What's that?
A gastroenterologist.
Oh, okay.
And,
I was like, that sounds cool. Is that in the Hell's Kitchen? The gastro.
Cool
It's just like
cool,
it's
aromas,
an eatery near the Castro in San Francisco.
It's really cool. They have great, buckets of shit. And so they made me, I'm saying this like it's a horrific crime. I weighed myself, shoes, pants, all on at 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. And I just eat it like it depressed me for for so long. And it's like, they can't, it's like I weigh myself naked at 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. I just took a shit. I shaved my pubes, bleached my asshole. I have a process. And when they weigh you like this, it's like, I would have shot everyone up in that office with a gun. It's
a really hard thing. It's one of those things that what I know theoretically and what I know emotionally could not be further apart, right? Like, I know intellectually that, like, of course the number on the scale does not define your worth.
Yes.
Like, of course it doesn't. Of course people will love me regardless of
just to add to that. And more importantly, you already look like that to everyone. It literally is not you don't get that. You don't see that number and suddenly become fat. Like, you're already that to everyone.
Yes.
So,
yet every time I see it, I will be mad at myself or pleased with myself and I know it's like, it's toxic.
It's like good reviews or bad reviews for something, or it's like if some agent like you, some industry person likes you, like you want to believe in your self-worth, but at the end of the day, you are dependent on followers, and this idea that you have to only find self-worth within is impossible.
Yeah, it's so antiquated.
Yeah, you just need the self-worth from without. I mean, you need to get it, and then once you get it, you can be like, oh, I don't really need it. But you only can say that because you just got it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's what you like, you know what I mean? Like, but so... Yeah, the scale, the number. Fucking,
I like that you asked me here to talk about being Jewish in Kentucky, and we've mostly just talked about our eating disorders.
Well, that's what it's like growing up with a Jewish mother in a place that has a lot of unhealthy food.
I mean, part of it though, like to bring it back, is like, the Kentucky ideal of beauty is like blonde hair, like very petite, like cheerleader-esque, and that's not, we're just not built like that. Like, I have a joke about it in my act of like we're built to survive.
Yes.
Because that's what we've had to, like, that's how we got here. It's like, we're built to like survive a genocide.
Right.
And these tiny
You're
little.
talking about Jews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And these tiny little girls, like, they're just like not built for that. Like, they're built because like their ancestors were never kicked out of anywhere. So they're just like, they have these little narrow hips.
Right. We were like, everyone, we were like chubby and just shtetl, and we needed to have like eat a bunch of chickens at once.
Right. You have to have like a reserve because there'll be a famine.
Well, that is the evolutionary thing that is, I guess some people don't have it. For me, it's like, I always have to finish the plate.
Yeah, Sam.
And it's that genetic thing where it's like back in the day, you had to stuff yourself because you don't know where your next meal is. And no matter how much I can tell myself I know where the next meal is, it's too late because now I've been genetically evolved for there to be a delay. Well, there to be a delay where my brain tells me I'm full.
Oh yeah,
20 minutes
feel
after. Yeah.
so guilty if I waste food.
Yeah.
If I don't finish what's not, like, I will feel terrible because the generations that we come from.
You can't throw away soup in Auschwitz.
No. That moldy bread is all that's keeping you alive.
I love how we're blaming the Holocaust for our for our eating issues.
Look, I know the Holocaust did like a lot of bad things, but one of the worst
really made us.
One of the worst lasting effects of the Holocaust is on our self-esteem.
Ironically, the last time we had good skinny bodies was there. That was the one time where you're like, all right, yeah. I know. I always wondered if like I was in Auschwitz, but I don't. I think I have the frame. I do like a bit about this, but I think I'd still look a little like this in Auschwitz.
You think so?
I'd still be stocky.
Yeah.
I do a bit. I would work on a bit how like
it's funny.
I would look like the Nazis were liberating the camp and they'd see me and they like that's a guard hiding because I don't know. I don't think I can get skinny. I think I can get thin.
Yeah.
Not thin. I think I can get not. The best I can do is not fat. You know what I mean? That's the best I could do. And, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? I could never be skinny.
Sure.
It's an illusion at the gym, too. It's like you kind of think you'll become a different person. But you're not. You're always, there's always something you can't. Sometimes I wonder, I guess what I'm trying to say is I wonder if sometimes when I'm trying to lose weight, am I really just trying to become a different person?
Oh, fuck, Raanan.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can still look better. But I do think, is it becoming like, like you go to the gym and you're like, I'm going to work out for 6 months and I'm going to be like 6'2" and Dominican and have a big cock. You just think you're going to completally change,
Yeah, you think you're going to be one of those people who just like wakes up early and has energy.
Yeah. But I can't I can't become, I'll always fucking have a frame. You know what I mean? But in the grave, in the all skeletons look the same except for the elephant man. That sucks for the elephant man. His skeleton, people are like, that guy was ugly. Like, but for everyone else,
the elephant, those were all the tumors.
Yeah, but it was skeletal.
Oh, okay.
Like even in death, people are like, that guy was fucking hideous.
Got it. It's like how they thought that. What the Neanderthals were all hunched over, and it's really just because they found one skeleton and he had scoliosis.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna make everyone think that they're all stocky and hunched over and had a big head. Okay, yeah. I swear, I really. Oh fuck yeah! I really fucking yeah. That would suck to be they find you as a skeleton. And they don't find anyone else, and they just find everyone. But I guess that's nice. You'd finally be normalized.
Sure.
That'd be beautiful for me to be the only prehistoric creature found from this time. Every human to the ideal thing for humans. We're 5'7". They look like they have a hunchback, giant head.
That's so funny.
But yeah, we should. I guess we gotta wrap this up. I'm getting the hint from Fonzie, like what he just said. Let's wrap this up. But yeah, we kind of detoured a little, but that's okay. I think it's still within the, Jewish mother stuff. But being a Jew from Kentucky, I mean, I think we had similar experiences, but also I do think you may be more of a outsider than me, maybe in Lexington, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the other thing that surprises people, because a lot of people are like, oh, I've never met a Jew from Kentucky. And then you dig deeper and you're like, no, you've just never met anybody from Kentucky.
Exactly. It's a New York coastal elitism. It's a great point.
There's not that many people who live in Kentucky. Like it's not that populous.
It's not that populous, but it's also, I think like New Yorkers have a hick sensibility too. Everyone has. That's the thing about New Yorkers. They have such a hick sensibility, but they don't realize it, which makes it worse. So many people like just live and die in New York, and they're afraid to ever go anywhere. But they're like, "Why do I got to go anywhere? This is the best city in the world." But you're just as uncultured as that fucking hick from like Birmingham. You know what I mean? The only difference is they at least kind of feel bad about it. But so like you don't realize that the Mason-Dixon line or whatever the fuck, that doesn't define, it's rural versus city.
Right.
And that's what defines shit. We can't have a civil war because it'd be too complicated. It'd just be like a rural area in New York fighting.
All these little pockets.
Yeah. You can't. The enemies are scattered out. So like it's rural versus city. If you're in a city, you're going to know some fucking Jews.
Yeah.
And Lexington, even though it's quite small, is a fucking city.
It's a city.
And people would be surprised.
A small city, but it's a city.
People would be surprised to know Louisville is the 16th largest city.
Louisville's legit.
Yeah, Louisville's legit, but people still think it's, because of the other place in Kentucky, we get a bad rap. But like these cities.
Yeah.
And if you have a city, you're going to have a Jew, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
we'll find it.
Yeah, so only be shocked if it's
you
like,
build it, we'll fucking come.
We'll come. We're fucking cockroaches. Hitler was right. And
if there's one thing you take from this podcast.
well, thank you so much. Where are you gonna? Let's do some plugs. You got some dates.
When's this come out?
Probably a week or 2 weeks.
Okay, so hang on.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. You'll edit this out.
That's cool. Are we okay?
You just edit this part.
No.
Well, you can go. So find me on social media everywhere at Ariel_comedy. And then January 19th through the 21st, I'll be in Austin at the Creek in the Cave. And then the 22nd, I'll be in Houston. And then the 26th through the 28th, I'll be in Toronto, Canada. It's my first time in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Very
Exciting.
excited.
Where are you going there?
Comedy Bar.
Oh, nice.
And then February 22nd, I'll be in Philly at Helium. And that'll do it.
That's great. Yeah, check it out. She's a great comic.
Go to arieleliascomedy.com.
Are you getting some people on the road? Like, are you getting like...
yeah, people
that's
are coming.
awesome. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks, man.
That's great. So we're always a great comic. So I just hope
nice.
I just hope there's space for two Jews from Kentucky. And
we have also like a very different Jewish vibe, you and I.
Yeah, you're a little more gentle. Catch me. I'm in Wesley Chapel, Florida this fucking weekend. So I don't know if this will come out by then. January 5th through 8th at Side Splitters. That I'm opening for that guy from summer camp. January 12th through 15th. I'll be with Louie at Chicago, Louisville, and St. Louis. And then I'm at Acme in Minneapolis, January 18th through 21st. Come out to that. And then Whitney Cummings, January 26th through 27th in New York. And you can get it all online at Raanan, Hershberg.com. And also, if you're listening, it's all about the mailing list now. So fucking subscribe.
Right.
Do you have a mailing list?
Yeah, I just started one.
Where can they find your mailing list?
I don't know.
All right. It's all about the mailing list. That's what matters. Well, my mailing list, fuck Ariel, my mailing list is, if you go to my Instagram, the link, Raanan Comedy, the link, hopefully you're already subscribed if you're listening to this, but if you're not, subscribe to the mailing list, because then you'll get an email when I'm in your fucking town, because every time I'm somewhere, I'm like, people are like, when are you going to come to Scottsburg, Indiana? I'm like, I was there last week wanting to kill myself, and you missed it. So fucking subscribe to my email list so you fucking know when I'm performing. It's on my Instagram, Raanan Comedy. We'll put it at the bottom of this shit. But anyway, thank you so much for coming. This was awesome.
Man.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.